All right, this is for your homework tonight, which is the rough draft of the thesis piece of the portfolio. And I just wanted to give you a sense of what I want to see in the rough draft as well as the final. And the major pieces are really two. There's the thesis itself, which is already done and written, and then the second part is the 3 paragraphs that you need for each factor. So as far as that thesis, again, all you need is to put it right up on top, and that's all you have to do. We're not doing a full essay, so this is not a full introductory paragraph. For this assignment, we're kind of just working on the important pieces. Your thesis, of course, you need to fill in your character's name, plus the story title and the author. And then each of these paragraphs here are just based on each of the factors. You have 3 factors that you've chosen that affect the characters or contribute to the character's identity. And that's what you'll be doing in each of these body paragraphs. So the job is essentially the same. The only thing that will change is what factor you're introducing and the quote, obviously, and so on and so forth. So I'll just go through the bullet points for the first paragraph. It's the same for the next bunch, or the next 2. So in each of these paragraphs, you have to introduce the factor, you have to present a quotation from the text that supports that, and you need to present the context of the quotation and explain that quotation and factor and make sure you're connecting it back to the character's identity, because that's what your thesis is saying, is not only does this factor exist, but it helps us understand the character's identity. It leads to a piece of that character's identity. What I want you to see on, as far as these bullet points, these don't necessarily have to be in this order. I just placed it in this manner. It might make sense to present the context of the quotation before you actually present the quotation. It depends on how you choose to do it. You just need to make sure that you're hitting all 4 of these points. Okay? I feel pretty good about this part here. I think you guys know what to do for the introducing the factor. The quotation from the text, you guys have been doing a great job pulling really solid quotes out of the text. These are the 2 places where you need to really be focusing on. The context of the quotation is making sure that the reader understands what's going on around that quotation. Again, this is not the location of the quotation on the page. It's what's happening in that point in the story. And the way you should think about it is anybody should be able to read your support the thesis assignment and understand what's happening even if the reader has not read the story. So that context is about helping the reader understand what's going on around that quote so they have a sense of the story in some way. It's probably going to take you 2 to 3 sentences just to set up the context and help the reader understand what's going on around that quote. And then the second piece, again, and this is something that we've talked about that we really need to kind of ramp up on, is explaining that quotation. All right, 1 sentence of just saying what that quotation means is just simply not going to be enough. You need to really explain what that quotation shows. You need to connect it to that factor, make it clear, and then you really need to go back and explain how that factor connects to the character's identity. If you're talking about Mrs. Parker as a factor and you're working with, writing about Walter, then you really need to explain how Mrs. Parker and what she did contributes to Walter's identity. That's the essential job of this whole piece. So you really need to make sure that this is a really complete explanation of that quote. It's very important, and you're making sure that it connects back to that character's identity. All right? And whatever you do as far as that first paragraph, the idea is the same for the second 2 paragraphs. The only things that are changing are obviously the factors and the quotes. And that's it. So do your best with this for the rough draft. We will take some time tomorrow in class to talk about it and to peer revise. So if you have any questions or concerns, we can look at it tomorrow in class. And good luck.